Hello, in this video I wanted to speak about the topic of values, about teaching values, what is valuable in this world. The title of the video will be something like why we actually don't need to be teaching values. It sounds contradictory, right, to what I have mentioned. Like, people in this world, not many of them, actually very few people do try to teach values to the people. And I know they have good intention and that this is actually people doing good work by teaching values. And I truly salute this kind of behavior. I would encourage it. But at the same time, I have to say that actually we don't need to be teaching values. Actually not. We really don't have to. And I would just like, even though I admit and salute this behavior of people teaching values, I would just like describe to you, warn you about this blind spot, about this danger, this weakness, this weak link of people trying to teach values. For instance, in this world, people say that we need to teach children, young adults, that we need to teach people what is valuable, what are the values. They need to be taught the values of society. What's valuable to society? How do we need to live in order to manifest a society of value, a valuable society? And even though this sounds all so great, because it speaks about value, something that's important, and how to acknowledge, establish a valuable and important society, it all sounds so powerful and nice. And even though there is some truth to it, there is also a danger in it. And I would just like for people to be aware of that. If you're saying that people need to be taught value, what is valuable in this world and what is not, if you're saying that you need to teach people this, then you are admitting that actually everything is how we say it is. It means that we dictate what is valuable and what is not valuable. It means that actually everything that's in our existence, all this life, it doesn't have value by default. It doesn't have an innate value, and that we actually give it value. If you're saying that people need to be taught values and what is valuable in this life, it means that life itself doesn't have value by default. It doesn't, life itself and everything that's in it doesn't have an innate value. If you're saying that values need to be taught, it means then that we program everything, that everything is how we say it is, that we give it value. And then we can actually say that this is valuable and this is not valuable. And some people can say that this is valuable and that is not valuable, right? How are we going to decide on what is valuable, right? Because like different people, different cultures have different idea of what is valuable to them. For instance, somewhere having a dog is like having a family member, and there is a place where they eat him, right? So to these people, the dog is value is being a family member, just like a human. But in some other country and culture, the dog has a value, just like eating pasta, right? Just like having some chicken. It's just a snack. So how are we going to decide on what is valuable, what is value, and to agree on that? How? And not just that we actually can't truly ever agree, because we don't agree on anything in this world. We don't agree on anything in this world. There are groups of people that agree about things, but we don't come together for the love of life, for the love of God. We don't. And so we are divided. And then this idea of teaching values, it just means that different people will teach different values, because there are different values. I think about something and I think it's valuable, and maybe you think it's not valuable. For instance, I think that this video is valuable, but somebody watches it and he thinks that this video is shit, right? So we have different standards for value. So how are we going to teach value then? How are we going to prescribe value to something? How are we going to determine what is valuable and how valuable it is? How? By what standard? Who is going to set that standard? Right? So we already have a blind spot. And not just that. The other thing is that if you are saying that we prescribe value to this existence, to this life, it just means that then everything is truly programmable and we decide the value. And if we decide the value, like for instance, there are people on this planet that believe that everything is just a societal standard, a societal norm, right? What we say it is, this is how it is. So a man is behaving like a man because we have expected from a man to behave like this. And so man is just a product of millennia of indoctrination of men, right? And that tradition and stereotypes and all this thing is just imagined and indoctrined and forced onto people, and then there is no truth in it. But this is not true. Like, we are heavily indoctrined. I truly agree. We are heavily limited. We have this limited view of this world. And we are not a natural society, that's for sure. We are a destructive society. But just because we are indoctrined, it doesn't mean that there is no naturality, that there are no natural standards, that there is no innate value, that there is no innate value that we cannot decide on, that we cannot change. Because stereotypes and traditional things, they are not stereotypes and tradition just for no reason, right? Like, people that say that everything is just how we decide about it, that we set the rules of how life should be, that we dictate the value, that we prescribe value to life, then this means that a man can be a woman and that a woman can be a man, right? That man is behaving like a man just because we have programmed it to be like a man. but actually we can program it to be a woman, and maybe at some point he can be a woman, right? But this is not true. This is not true. A man will never be possible giving birth, right? Like you cannot dissect, you cannot set a soul apart from physicality. We cannot divide the energetic world, abstract world, from the physical world, right? Just the fact that there are just two sexes, man and woman, is the proof of innate value, a value that we cannot change. I mean, we can forcefully change it. We can change it chemically and castrate people and maybe grow a dick on a woman. We can maybe do forcefully this scientifically, but if we just leave life alone, if we don't impose ourselves onto it, if we just let it be, there will always be just men and women, right? So there are natural values of life. There is innate value to life. And just how we cannot divide a human from his body, we cannot say that there are no innate values in the character of the soul. We cannot. You cannot say, you can't ever say that men and women are the same people, because we are not. We are different. We are different. And even though there are parts where we overlap, we are still different. Even though we are humans and we are souls, we are still different. We still have innate value. And actually, if you fully step into your value, you will see the value of yourself and the value of the other. Because you will see, when you step into your full value, you will see that actually my value is actually not even though I'm being whole, there is still some value that a woman can bring into my life, right? An empowered woman, a fully valuable, worthy woman, will recognize that a man can be of value, can be a complement to her life, right? Only an empowered woman, only a truly empowered woman will recognize that even though she is whole and she maybe don't need anybody, which is great, there are still benefits to having a man. And it's the same for men, right? A fully fledged human being, man, fully valuable, worthy man, will still, even though he's totally satisfied being alone forever, he still sees value and something that he cannot possess, generate, and get any way than having a woman in his life. That woman actually brings her specific, authentic, innate value to him that he cannot generate any other way. If you're a fully fledged, full spectrum, truly worthy human being, right? If you're like this, if you recognize your own value, you will recognize the value of others. If you don't recognize your own value, you don't recognize the value of others. How you are, it's how you see the world. Know yourself and you will know the world. This is how it is. on the level of frequency that you vibrate, function, this is how you can understand the world. You cannot understand it more than you know yourself. It's impossible. We constantly project ourselves onto the world. And if you don't see value in yourself, if you don't recognize your innate value that was given to you, for you only to recognize it and remember it, then you will not recognize it in the world. It's impossible. There are people that don't recognize their own value, and what they do for the rest of their life, what they do, they're just constantly bashing the other sex or other people, right? The people that are miserable, the people that are fearful and conscious or heavily more unconscious of that, of their own life themselves being driven by fear, but they're unconscious to that. And so they will fight you when you say that they are driven by fear. What these kind of people do, the people that are victims, what do? They don't see their own worth because they are not whole. And so this is how they see the world. Everybody is a problem in their life. They constantly project their own issues onto others, their own responsibility onto others. Because they are full of shit. They are saying everybody is full of shit. This is how people are. Your own dissociation is what dictates how you see the world, your worldview. And you always resonate with what makes you feel safe. This is the title of the video that I made in the past. Check it out. It's a really good one. All of my videos are good. And so it is very important to realize this fact that we don't actually need to teach value. We don't need to teach values. We don't need to be teaching society values, because if you're teaching people values, what you're doing actually? And who can truly be teaching values? Values can be only taught by a person that's fully resolved, by the person that has recognized their own value. How can you be teaching values if you are not behaving valuable? If you are not being worthy, if you are not behaving worthy, if you are not behaving valuable, how can you be teaching these things? What are you then doing? You are then just programming, forcing some belief system, just like religion or indoctrination, school, philosophy, just like the old world already was, right? You're then just forcing people to believe your definition of what is valuable and then perform that. Because only somebody that has recognized their own value can teach values. But how many enlightened people are on this planet? Not many. Not many, very few. I have met one until now. I have met one woman that's enlightened. That's it. So, how many people can truly teach values? This is a really beautiful idea. And I know it has really good intention. But if you are not being valuable, not on the wishful thinking, where you wish for yourself to be valuable at some point and affirm 10,000 times by affirmation and mantras that you are valuable and whatever, being like positive about it and affirming, but actually still being unconscious in your life, in yourself, of you not accepting parts of yourself, still tolerating dissociation in yourself, and because of that, still tolerating destructiveness and manipulation in your relationships with people, because you're tolerating it in yourself, and then still being unworthy, still being unworthy of worthy relationships because you are just tolerating still unworthiness. You're still tolerating fear and living in fearful relationships. And non-enlightened people do live like this. Only enlightened people have faced their mechanism of repression, their own mechanism of fear. Only enlightened people have truly accepted, enlightened their own dissociation. This is what enlightenment means. It means to accept, to shed light on the shadow in yourself, to become the light, to become the openness, the light in life, where you are constantly open to shedding light on whatever you have to face in life. This is what enlightenment means. It doesn't mean perfection. It means a state of power, a state of light, a state of openness, where you already are very powerful, and whatever needs to be cleared in your life until you die, if it is presented to you, you are at this level where you're just facing it when it arrives, when it is presented to you. And who lives on this level? I have met one woman, and I'm the second one. I don't know any other person that's on this level. So, how can a person be teaching values when they haven't truly recognized their own value? Where will they be speaking then from, if not from embodiment, if not from energetic recognition of your own value? Where will they then be speaking from, if not from embodiment? They will be speaking from head. They will be speaking from what they think value is, what valuable is, and where that thinking will be driven from their own unconscious fear, from their own dissociation that they are unaware of, like the rest of the world. Like most of the people in this world are just unconscious people that are unconscious to their own dissociation, then themselves living in fear, not aware of that. And so if you are not teaching values from embodiment, the only other option is teaching them from disembodiment. So from the mind, driven from the energetic fear, unconscious fear. And so then you will and you imagine how you think value should be, and then you will be just repeating this definition to another being, and that being then performing it. And not just that, you will be even in this idea of doing good, you will be actually forcing something onto, for instance, a child that maybe it's pure and has a really good understanding of what is valuable, or at least for this specific value, how it behaves, how it looks in this life. But you will then, because they are in a state of traumatized fear, dissociative state, and because they are weak and not discerning, you will actually force your own even more dissociated view of how life should be and how you should act. And because they are weak and they believe that you're an adult that knows and it's experienced and you act all confident, they will just take that onto themselves, and then they will be even weaker than they were, right? This is how life is. The adults pretend that they know when they actually don't know. And the children, because we are weak when we are children, because you're traumatized, you're weak, you're not discerning, and then you believe somebody that's more of an authority, looking like an authority and behaving more confidently, then you're believing it. Maybe you have a better sense of what is natural and valuable in life, but because you're still weak, you depend then on somebody looking more confident, and then you're just more lost than you were, right? Like, I'm not talking stupidity, I'm talking sense. This is present in this life, in this society. So even though people have good intention of teaching values, values need to be only taught from embodiment. So only truly evolved, only enlightened people can teach people how to be. Because only enlightened people are embodied, and only embodied people can teach people how to be people, right? How to be, you become a person by being an embodied soul, a full soul being capable of spontaneous, full spectrum expression and behavior, living in non-resistance to being guided by what's true in the moment, and that being tested through you being resilient when fears arise, and you being resilient, facing those fears, being cleared and empowered, you become an embodied soul. This is how you become a human. So only enlightened people truly know the way, and they recognized true worth of humanness, of the innate value that we have, that we possess, that was given to us by God, that we didn't invent. We haven't created it. My life, I didn't create it. God has created it. I didn't create your life. God has created it, and it will take it. And it is providing it to you every step of the way. So I cannot dictate the values of this life. I can only be describing them, right? I'm not the creator. I'm just describing what's present. Like, I also have God. Even though I'm resolved and enlightened, there is God above me. I can't dictate these things. I'm just describing. I'm just using intelligence to describe that, actually, and prove, confirm that there is innate value that was God dictated, God invented. So people teaching values, how are we going to agree on? Because we live together in this planet, how are we going to agree throughout all the cultures of the world? How are we going to agree what values are? What values are, and how valuable are each values, right? This is the first problem in trying to teach values, not from embodiment, because people don't teach it from embodiment. People teach it from unconsciousness, having good intention, but still driven from fear. What can we do? This is the first problem. And the second problem is, we are confirming by teaching values, especially from disembodiment, that actually it's then everything is programmable, that things don't have innate value when actually they do. Things have innate value. A man will always be a man. No matter how it behaves, it will always be a man. We cannot become different beings. We are just becoming whole beings. For instance, even if a man is 99% deluded and programmed and indoctrinated into behaving like a man, okay, even if it is like that, him resolving all of that, he will not become a woman or become any other being or so much different that he will be unrecognizable. He will just become a more full version of himself. When we are saying that you should change, man in the mirror, that you can change only yourself and that everybody should strive for change. And I always say that you can change only through being unprepared and spontaneous in life, because life is about meeting fears, because only when full fear is activated you can meet it, and in that meet your full self. And how can you meet fully the fear if you are trying to prepare, plan, and or force how life should be, right? You can only meet fear and be fully activated and feel it fully if you're being unprepared and spontaneous. Because if you're going around the corner and you know that there is fear, you are prepared for it and you plan it, and you already have a way of how you will perform about it, then you're not fully meeting it. That fear is not fully activated in the body, and because you don't then fully meet it, because you're already prepared for it, you cannot meet how you will act, how you are when you are fully soaked in fear. And how can you know yourself? How can you test your own resilience? How can you know yourself as power if that power is never tested? It's never genuinely tested, because you always have some kind of method, technique, spiritual practice, therapy, boosting mechanism, drugs, or whatever that prepares you for the next moment, or breath work, whatever, yoga, whatever. Like, how are you going to test yourself if you never from a place of being unprepared don't meet fear? How can you test yourself if you don't experience fear fully? It's impossible. People have fear of rejection, right? How can you get over the fear of being rejected if you don't meet that fear fully? Like, here, I am here is an obstacle and I want to go there, right? How can I go there if I don't go through the obstacle? It's impossible. You cannot because like the next step in life, evolution, it's not just going further, it's going up. This is what evolution means, and you only go to a next step once you learn the lesson of the previous step. It's not just going around the obstacle and that's it. You need to face the obstacle in order to get to the next level, right? This is what evolution is. This is what empowerment means. This is what recognizing your own worth and your power, yourself as power means. So you cannot bypass it. You have to meet life as it is. And so how are you to meet fear of rejection if you are not being guided from life inside you, from what's most genuine in you, being spontaneous about it? And even if you fear it, still face it, because you're being driven, guided by life, and you're being open to whatever happens. How are you going to go over the fear of rejection if you never go to the most beautiful woman that you are being guided truly from a place of being genuine? For instance, if you go and ask out, for instance, you would like to resolve the fear of rejection, right? And you go to a woman that you actually don't like. You go to a woman that you don't actually like. So you're not being guided by what's truly genuine in you. You're going to some kind of woman just somehow to test yourself or something like this, to manipulate yourself, to prove something, when actually you're just being driven by fear. You're not wanting to face yourself. And so you will go to a woman that you actually don't value much. You don't see her from your genuine place of interest. You don't see it from there. You're not being guided from there. And then you go to her and you, for instance, ask her out and she rejects you, right? Because you're not being guided, because you're not being guided by your true, genuine desire what's really true for you from your present truest energy, because you're not being guided from that. And maybe you try to prove just something to yourself, so you are being prepared already for it, because you know that even if she rejects you, who gives a shit, she's not even that beautiful to you. So you're being prepared, you're planning, and you're not being guided from what's truly genuine for you. So how can you then meet that fear of rejection if you actually don't care about it? You're prepared, and you're prepared about it. First of all, you're prepared about it. Fear will not feel as fearful, and because you are not going from a place of being genuine, you actually don't care, because this woman is not really important to you. Then you actually don't care. So then this fear will be even less fearful. So you're being prepared and you're not being really interested. If you're being rejected, you're not truly facing the fear of rejection. When do you truly fear the fear of being rejected? When do you face it? You only face the fear of being rejected by going to the woman that it's like something special for you. You don't see any other than her. You don't have eyes for any other than her. You can't imagine yourself being with any other than her. She's an angel to you, and she's the finest pussycat in town for you. This is being genuine, right? This is you being guided by what's most genuine in you. This is now being genuine, being present in the moment, being driven by life and not by fear, driven by love and not by fear, being open to life in you and not being closed to life, to you, and trying to perform being powerful. This is true power. Being responsible to the moment, accepting what the moment demands from you, being genuine with it. This is responsibility. This is how you test resilience. Because now being rejected by that woman, it will mean something. Because she is now important to you. She is now really important to you. Really, really, really important to you. And you're not performing it because you're being driven by a genuine desire. So now, if she rejects you, full fear will be activated in you because it means a lot to you. Only when things mean a lot to you, your fear can be fully met. You being open to that, feeling it fully, facing yourself fully, and realizing after it, when the moment has spontaneously, naturally finished being experienced, you recognize that actually you're pretty resilient shit. You're pretty powerful. Even this most genuine, love-guided, important moment for you, you were being rejected in it, and you still survived. Wow, I'm strong. I have proven to myself resilience, being strong, right? And this is how you resolve your own fear, right? You being devoted to this kind of way of living about anything in life. Constantly being devoted to being guided by life and not having resistance to being guided by life. The biggest trauma that we have For instance, in this world, there are psychologists and therapists and all these mind-based people. And because because this world is so mind-based, many people are really stuck and attached to everything resolving by mind, and because of that, limited. Because mind is just a mirror of everything that's happening in the moment, of the energetic level, of the holistic level. It's just one part of it where you can see what is happening. And I just wanted to say that the biggest trauma that we have received, for instance, like this mind-based people, they try to explain every trauma through a story, through a narrative, through a context. Like, you have this in life because your mother did that to this dude, and because your father did this to your sister, and like everything is tied to some kind of relationship and context and story and narratives and words and sentences and these kind of things, where there is so much story that you can't actually never resolve it. It is based on memory. We don't even remember things the way they actually were. And so and you can't even resolve your trauma on the mind level, because the mind is just a description of the trauma, right? And so I never was losing my time with this kind of resolving of the human being, because I knew this is very limited. What I'm all about is, what effect did trauma leave on people? This is what I'm interested in. Not how the trauma looked like, which is all about psychology, mind-based people, therapy, all of everything that we know of. How did the trauma happen? Or why did the trauma happen? Like, I don't care about that, because knowing that will not resolve it. I'm all about what has trauma caused, what kind of effect has lived on the people. So I'm all about the effect, because if the effect is what will stay with you, right? And that has stayed with you after the trauma is what is limiting you in your own life to be whole, and that needs to be resolved. So what is the effect of the trauma? If we are still not getting lost into the story of what is now the effect, I'm now behaving like this because my mother and my father did this to me, and then just trying again to do everything mind-based, psychology-based, again being lost in limitation. Let's take every story, every narrative, every context, all the different situations that traumas happen, reasons why they happen, and what kind of effect they have. Let's take all that and just package it and see for what they truly, on the energetic, holistic level, they live within us. What is truly the effect? What is truly the thing that connects all the stories? What are the effect? No matter what kind of context you were in, no matter what story you are in, what is truly the effect on the energetic level? What has truly, how was your behavior truly now affected because of that? So what is the effect? The effect is that this is the only thing. Whatever kind of trauma you had in life, the effect of that trauma, no matter, we all are together in this. We all had different stories, contexts, and traumas, but we all have the same effect from that. And this is just us, because of trauma, having now fear in our body. And because of not facing this fear, we are then living in fear. Because we are not facing the fear, we are now living in fear. And because we are now living in fear, we live in a way where we are being resistant, fearful, to being guided by what we have always known to be true for us. That's it. This is it. No matter what kind of trauma you had in life, no matter if you had two fathers, two mothers, mother, father, nobody, you were being beaten or just screamed at, or you just being controlled, or you having physical or mental issues, no matter what kind of trauma, what kind of reasons, how it happened, and how you're now trying to mentally describe the effects of it through some kind of story, context, narrative, no matter what, everything that you're trying to do on this mental level, how it is energetically, holistically now experienced you being affected in life. If we draw the line and do a summary of all of that, what it is just now you, because of trauma, experiencing fear, you not facing the fear. Why you didn't face your fear? Because you had to repress a part of you, because you expressing a part of you triggered your caretakers. And then you being, for instance, beaten or screamed for it, you then repressed those parts in order to maintain attachment to your caretakers, to survive, right? So you then were living in fear because survival was more important than being whole. So you, because of needing to survive, which is always the first most important thing, only wholeness and enlightenment is second. So the survival is always the most important thing. So you needing to survive in order to achieve even wholeness, you need to survive. So in order to survive, you don't face the fear of expressing yourself, because if you express yourself, you will then again be forced to repress that part, or be beaten, or be rejected, or denied, or ignored. And you need to be attached and accepted and loved and performing in a way where you will be accepted so you can survive as a child, right? And so because you needed to survive, you didn't face the fear of being your full self. You didn't face the fear of expressing that part that triggers your caretakers. And so because this all happened, if you ask me, already in the stomach, and then after you being born, in your really early childhood, and you never resolve these things, you're then just becoming unconscious, automatic about it, and you just then live like this. And you never realize this. That's why that's why you're now listening to this video, to realize these things. And so you're not facing that fear of following yourself. You're now living in fear of not following yourself. And this is all the culmination, the summary, the bottom line of all the trauma, no matter how it happened and why it happened. This is the effect of it. You, the ultimate trauma of all the people of the world, and this is the only thing you need to resolve. The ultimate trauma is you living in resistance, in fear of being guided by what you have always known to be true for you, by the life in you, by that life that truly, genuinely wants to be expressed and followed in life. That's it. This is the only thing that trauma has left on you The stories don't matter. This is the effect. This is how you now behave. You don't follow on the guidance of life. You're being resistant to parts of yourself. You're being resistant. You're being resistant to being guided from your own source of power, from your wholeness. You're being resistant to that. And so now the only thing you need to do is to face that resistance, to face that fear. And even though it's just an imprint from a childhood, because you're now not anymore dependent on other people to survive, you're so actually not actually experiencing the consequences of dying, right? Because you're not dependent on anybody. So it's just an imprint. And even though it's just an imprint from a childhood, you still have to face that fear. And it's in the body, felt like shaking. You're shaking like a chicken. You will be shaking like a little pussycat. And I did. You're shaking because you're so afraid of like almost dying or being rejected by it. But then when you face it, still going through that fear and shaking and still going through that fear and not minding what the fuck people think about you, because there will always be people that think good of you and people that think bad of you no matter what you do in this life. So you just face that fear, go through it, follow your own expression, your own guidance into what the present moment demands from you. And by that, you face the fear fully and you prove to yourself your own power, your own resistance, and you finally dissolve the fear and you become whole. And how can you meet fear fully if you're not being spontaneous and unprepared about it? How? You cannot plan these things out or therapy them between four walls with a therapist. You cannot resolve yourself. Just look at the psychologists and therapists of the world, the most delusional people. I'm not saying that all are delusional, but they are pretty delusional. Having a technique for anything, or spiritual people having a technique for everything. I will just do breath work until I die. What the fuck? They don't resolve shit. It's all just an illusion, a bypass. Life is the ultimate technique. And life can be only faced when you're in flow with it, when you're being spontaneous, just being guided by what's most true to you. That's it. And through being devoted to that, by being one with life literally, every step of the way, you're being one with God. And through that, you will manifest a heavenly life for yourself if you're being led by God. Guided by God, right? You will manifest the world that you don't even know that's the best for you, because you're now in some kind of dissociated, limited version of yourself trying to manifest your perfect life. How can you manifest the best life for you when you don't even know yourself? It's impossible. It's impossible. You cannot manifest a worthy life from unworthiness. You cannot manifest a whole life from a dissociated place. It's impossible, no matter how beautiful it looks like. It will just be a burden. You will just perform in it. So you can only manifest a wholesome life by you becoming whole. And the only genuine way, full way of becoming whole is by being spontaneous and in flow with life, being guided by the power in you. By that little power, for instance, that you now possess, being dependent on it and being guided by it. By following it, it will be tested. And in testing it, you will be and by testing it, so that power will be followed. Finally, it will be faced with fear. You will test it through that fear, and you will become more powerful. You will become more conscious of the previously unconscious things in your life. And through spontaneity, then you become whole and you manifest automatically, without trying to manifest, a heavenly life that's being manifest along the way, every step of the way. You cannot prepare for life. It's impossible. Plus, for instance, there was a question. I was listening to a podcast. There was a question, and a woman asked another woman, because the lady was speaking that we should be following our own intuition, right? What we truly like to do now, right? And then the podcaster asked the woman, okay, I will be teaching a child this value of intuition, but how to teach her the discernment? Like, where is the line between you following the intuition and you still having this value of being dedicated to things, so you don't just constantly jump from one thing to another, but you're dedicated to something, so you actually master, for instance, some kind of skill, right? Like, where is the line between following intuition and being disciplined, so you master something, right? Where is the line? Because if you're listening to intuition, you're just then constantly going with the flow and constantly changing and never actually attain anything, right? And this sounds like a sensible thing to ask, but it's actually not. Again, just people speaking from disembodiment, from abstraction, and not from groundedness and embodiment. Because people think that intuition is just something that it's constantly changing with every moment. And there is a part of intuition that is like that. Intuition it's a broad spectrum of how it communicates and behaves. For instance, there are things where you are many times in the day guided through different things into different directions. Now you go left, now you go by this, now you go do this. You're guided by different things. And there is, we could say, a short-term intuition, right? And this is true. But you shouldn't be then trying to force yourself, prepare yourself for life, think your life out. Oh, but now I have to be disciplined about this, and now I have to ignore my intuition so I can master some kind of skill. And when I will master this skill, then I will go back listening to intuition. This is just crazy. As there is a short-term intuition, there is a long-term intuition also. For instance, there will be short-term intuition where you will be guided by various times of the days, many times in the day, into some smaller steps that how you need to change about things, what kind of direction, what kind of choices to make. And there is a long-term intuition, which is so much better than discipline. Discipline is for robots. We have a long-term dedication, which is just like, oh, this is my talent. I'm so good at this. I truly love doing this forever. It has been with me my whole life, and it looks like, maybe, I don't know, but it looks like it will stay for me forever, at least for this life. For instance, for me it's drumming, something like this. I'm not thinking about it as having some kind of discipline, but I truly feel genuine desire for it, me not needing to force myself to do it. There is a long-term intuition that says, this is for you, this drumming is for you, this kind of skill is for you, this is what you're good at, do it. You're generating more life from it. You're generating creativity from it. This partner is for me. You can check my previous video where I spoke about a love story that I'm experiencing in my life. And I just said there that I energetically, through my own body, recognized a woman as an additional source of life. But through my body, I recognized that, which never happened in my life, because you are already your own source of power if you're embodying yourself. But then I recognized the woman the same way as an additional source of mine. And this only happened ever in my life with this only human being. And so this is my intuition, the life in me, teaching me, guiding me, saying to me, this woman is for you. You don't even have to test her. You don't have to test her like a car. If she sexually satisfies you or does all the things that you think she should be doing, this woman is for you. And I'm being dedicated to her, even though we're not even together and she rejected me, right? And I feel like I'm dedicated to her. I'm just saying there is short-term intuition and there is long-term intuition. We don't need discipline. Discipline is for robots. Discipline sounds good, but discipline means I will do it even if I don't feel like doing it. And how are people when they don't feel like doing it, but they are forcing themselves? They're not being present. If you're not being present and spontaneous and truly relaxed with what you're learning about, interacting with, you're not actually absorbing it, because not at the rate and power that you would if you would have zero resistance to it. If you're forcing something that doesn't feel right by being disciplined, you're doing it even though you're having resistance to it. So you're being actually very non-efficient about it. So you don't need discipline. It's better to have a relaxation or to be guided just by intuition, and then come to it when there is full alignment with it. Because then you will, in less time, do more work. You will be more present with it. You will absorb it more fast and more powerfully, more concretely. So we don't need discipline. We don't need to be taught the value of discipline. We don't need to be taught a value like discipline, because our own long-term intuition has an innate guidance, an innate teaching, an innate character of devotion, of dedication. Dedication means I truly feel like doing it. This is what I will do for a long time. I don't know, but I will do it for a long time. And because I know this is for me, I'm the best in it, and I truly love doing it. And it doesn't leave me. It doesn't go away. I will do it. And when the feeling isn't there, I will not force myself into it. Because maybe I even don't know, but I maybe need relaxation or something else. So I will be aligned, guided by God, guided by life, by being genuine with what's present in my life. Not think how life should be through intuition, forcing it, even though it's not feeling it, you're not feeling it, but just being genuine and responsible. Because discipline actually guides you into being irresponsible. Because you're not being genuine with the moment. You're thinking how things should be. So you're forcing it because you think you should be doing it. So dedication to things, because we need dedication. You need to be with something for a long period of time in order to develop master over it. But without force, without discipline, there is dedication. There is dedication, which is a much more powerful energy alignment based tool that's already an innate characteristic, an innate value. That's a part of our own intuition, of ourselves resolving the resistance to being guided by what we have always known to be true for us. It's so beautiful. Life is so simple. Life is so much simpler than we think about it. Life is so much simpler. This message, actually, even though maybe it sounds complicated and I speak 1 hour about it, it truly is dissolving resistance to life. The effect of the trauma that we have all received, which is just the resistance to us being guided by God, by ourselves, by our own knowing. This is the only thing that we need to resolve. And you resolve this by being dedicated. Start being dedicated step by step to it and face all the resistance that will show up. Face it. Resistance feels like fear. It is fear. You will shake about it, but still do it. And that's it. You just need to resolve the way of being. You have the way of behaving until now. You have to do it for some time until it is being resolved in you. And then you are following yourself, your own true knowing, without having resistance to it. This is what enlightenment is about. So you can see through this example, through this proof, that many people will teach discipline as a value, right? We all know that in this world, discipline is highly regarded. But it actually is a sign of resistance. I have just proven it. Actually, discipline is that. How can we know that discipline is a sign of fear and resistance? Because the people that are heavy on discipline are the people that drive themselves into burnout. Only the people that are heavy on discipline drive themselves into a burnout. And why would a sane person go into a burnout? Who would force themselves into a burnout? Who? Only somebody that's not being guided by a feeling, by what's genuine, truly being asked from them in the moment, but from the mind, which always comes. So guidance from disembodiment is the guidance of you not being embodied. Why you're not embodied? Because you're fearful of embodiment. You're fearful of your own guidance. You're fearful of your own self, your wholeness. So you live in fear, in dissociation, not knowing that. And because of that, then living from unconsciousness, from the driven mind, from mind driven. And so you force yourself because you're ignoring yourself. Only people that ignore themselves can force themselves. And I'm not here like speaking because I'm this perfect being, because I was my whole life forcing myself. I'm not speaking this because I'm some highly developed being. I'm speaking this because I was living like this my whole life. I was living in resistance my whole life, and I have truly dissolved this and have truly recognized the worth of it. And because I am where I am, I know how to come to this place. This is all I'm doing. I'm just trying to convey the recognition of my own worth and how I got to this place. And this is the way of enlightenment, is how every enlightened being it's the way of every enlightened being. There is no other way. You cannot face life, resolve resistance to life by any other way than facing that resistance, by facing the obstacle. Every other thing you do, except this way that I speak, which is a direct way, everything else, it's just you lying to yourself, or you being too unconscious to recognize that you are lying to yourself. And I have been living like this for my whole life, so I know. And I'm just trying to protect you. So you're resolving your resistance to what you have always known to be true for you. You are finally aligning with your intuition. You're finally aligning with that which dictates the value in your life, your own life's value, that which makes your life valuable and brings value to all the things in your life. So you don't need to be taught values. Because by recognizing, embodying, through embodiment, your own value, you bring to everything value. If you're valuable, you see things in the world as valuable. If you're whole, if you're valuable, you see the importance, the intelligence of all the world perspectives. You see the value in them. You know that by themselves they are limited, but together they describe the whole picture. It's astonishing. So there is no need to be teaching values. Value shouldn't be taught. Value should be recognized through yourself, through your own energetic embodiment, and not through wishful thinking. And only then true value of teaching value will be recognized. The value of teaching values will be recognized. There is some value to it, but not much, to be honest. If you're not being resolved, if you haven't resolved resistance to life, and you're teaching values, you can then just imagine anything and force that onto people, and deceive them even deeper because you're deceived. But you say that you're doing good things and they look good, but you're actually doing bad things. And so, because you're unconscious of that, then a demon can come through some person and say to you, hey, but you have just proven then that actually we say what value is. And then we can say that actually a man is behaving like a man just because we have indoctrinated him. Let's make him now to behave like a woman. Ha ha ha. Right? And if you're being unconscious of what I speak here, because you are, you will then just be okay. Yes, like it looks like that everything can be just taught. And then we can just imagine anything and change everything. But actually, I have just proven that we can't actually do that. It looks like we can do that. And we can try to manipulate with these things, but we will just lose ourselves even more when we should be actually recognizing our own value by resolving the resistance to life, and then let our innate value, which is our life force, something that's coming from source, from creator, from God, let that bring value and dictate value to everything in our life, instead of us prescribing value to some things. Let God do it through us being a clear channel of that, right? By us resolving, just moving ourselves truly aside and let God source do the work. By us resolving the resistance to life, we allow not our dissociation to dictate the value of the things in life, but God Himself, the source itself, through us dictate the value of things. And through this way of embodied knowing, we can truly know what in that tradition, indoctrination, stereotype, truly is natural and what is just negative programming of the Satan. Okay. I'm empty. I have nothing more to say. There is nothing coming anymore. To be honest, when I'm doing these videos, I'm not prepared. I'm truly being in flow. And I'm even amusing and myself. I'm truly being surprised by what is coming from me, because I have never thought, I don't have a predetermined idea about these things, but it does sound intelligent and it does make sense. And then when I'm listening back to these videos, I'm even teaching myself. I watch every one of my video and I'm like, shit, I'm teaching myself. I'm learning so much from these videos. Okay, so if something else comes, I will put it in my posts on Instagram and Facebook. So if you truly want the whole picture, check even there. Sometimes some additional informations come later. and I get even a fuller picture. And that's it. If you want to work with me, there are comments, there are links down below. You can comment, you can like, you can subscribe, you can donate. I have a Patreon. I have everything set for us to work together. Because, as you can see, the world is crumbling as we know it. And if you need guidance, I'm available. So that's it. See you in the next video.